All right. Hello, hello. All right. How's it coming through? I am trying something a little different tonight so that we can look at some images. So hopefully that works out. All right. So thanks for letting me take another week off. Sorry about that. I was not feeling great, so I took the time off. Heard from Proto Man today. I guess he is caught up in an ice storm, so he hasn't been able to do lives, so that's been interesting. We'll see if I fill up some of his slot tomorrow or not. We'll see how we're doing. TF Formers 2002, how's it going? Ninjatron, how are you? Titus Hayden, nice to see you. So yeah, big week. Got cat hair on me. Big week with the Transformer Tuesday, so I figured we'd just get into it. I kept my mouth shut all week about it, and I figured it'd be a lot of fun to talk about that today. So, weather also was bad in Ohio last weekend. I was out of power for 2 days while I was finishing up healing up. Slowed me down on some of my freelance, was not fun, but letting some people trickle in here. I'm looking back and forth here. I got too many options. All right. So I hope everybody had a good week. Or two, actually. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about this guy. I'm a little bit of a drag here, so making sure that works. That image pop up there for everybody, or am I the only one seeing that? Okay. Seems like it's there. All right. Sorry. So really cool news this week that they are doing a Legacy Armada Megatron. I'm going to focus on the design. I don't get into the price points and the scale and everything else. I'm just going to focus on the design and what they were able to do with that character and talk about that. So first off the bat, I designed this character back in the day. So just let me do my introduction, I guess. I'm Aaron Archer. You're up here at the Toy Armada, and where we talk toys, predominantly Transformers, but I was a toy designer on Batman and Aliens and a lot of other things. So I generally talk about the toy process and reasons why toy companies do some of the things they do. And I was fortunate to work on the Unicron trilogy back in the day, and they have remade that character. So let's talk about that first of all. Back in the day, we made this Megatron. This is a gray model image on the lower part that Takara made of a lot of options. Those are my head design drawings there. And that is the tank and some of my veneering, and then the Takara 2D model or drawing that they used to make the model. So that gives you the flavor of what we were designing back in the day. So that we can appreciate a little bit about what is happening now. So I don't have the original colors, but I do have this BotCon version. So we'll reference that a little bit. So right off the bat, what I want to talk about today, one thing that I really thought was worth bringing up was we would have designed these toys, both the Optimus and the Megatron, prior to the animation company coming in. So, not tonight. So that is why they didn't always accurately match up with the toys. They needed to take liberties. They did take liberties. The animation house did a certain style. So I never had the opportunity to have these Armada designs, for the most part, match animation. Ideally, we would have loved to have done that, but they were designed in advance, and then things got tweaked. We weren't aware of scale, so obviously the Megatron and the Optimus cab mode for Armada have a certain scale in the animation. Now they've been able to replicate that with the new designs, which is really cool. I would not have had that level of knowledge about where the show would have gone, right? So the biggest thing in these designs, right, is going to be the fact that it is much better articulated than this guy was going to be able to ever be, right? He does not have good legs. He kind of stands pretty much upright. His shoulders have some limitations. You can kind of move his waist a little bit if you play with raising that up. But it's more about the feature, more about the finger food around Megatron and the Minicons, less about the character posability. So that right off the bat is the biggest difference and improvement overall, because now it matches better the animation. These things aren't encumbered by the gimmick or feature so much so that they can't put that stuff in there, which is really, really cool. What I'd like to say, first and foremost, I guess it's Hasui-san, really, I think, did a very kind of honorific, not a lot of change happening here with the details, particularly the front headlights, great grading, the side panels, where little detail cuts in on the weapons and stuff, very much what I remember designing, what is in that original product, and it's just very honorific of that original design while being, a new design. When we designed the Armada products, the buzzword was intuitive. We wanted it to be pretty obvious where you should grab and open things up and make the body form pretty straightforward and easy. I think you could see that in the Armada product particularly. So what that gives you is a lot of ability to have fun veneering this stuff, because not a lot hidden. And I just they did a really good job of, making that Armada Megatron here very familiar to all of us. And again, closer matching to the animation. So I think it's great. I'm looking forward to finding out what the either Minicon or Tidal Wave, depending on one's point of view of what the add-ons could be interesting. I'm hoping Minicons, but we'll see. We'll see on those. Let's see what else we got here. Then they got the box that they showed, which is really cool. I think that's a really cool pose. You're able to get that that in on that front box cover. Fun that the weapon comes off and can be held. That's a nice consistent play pattern. I like that the turret does wrap around and can be that kind of blast shield from the original toy. That's pretty cool. So, it's very much in tune with the Armada Megatron, without that big burden of an electronics package and all the Minicon gimmick things. So, very cool to see that this week. Nice to get the shout out on the Optimus. So, nice to be back. So what I talk about with these details is they did a really good job of, look at the legs, the location of all this kind of stuff, because it's asymmetrical. A lot of my stuff this way, particularly with the villains, is asymmetrical. The detail in the chest grooves here, very, very much what we designed back then. And again, I have the original art for, this would have been the Galvatron package art, but the same type of details are on this new toy that matches all the stuff that was going on back in the day. So this is Don Figueroa art for the Galvatron package art. I got Tidal Wave as well from Don, and then a whole bunch of other stuff from other guys. So overall, the Megatron is really cool. Again, I'm not gonna have a lot of negativity around the things that they do. I agree with most of what the general consensus is, like where's the Minicons, looking forward to find out what happens with those, and different things like that. But it is very cool to have this version of Megatron, which is for some a seminal Megatron, to come out. It is kind of cool. To me, it was also partly generated off the G2 Megatron, no doubt about that. So it's a nice echo overall. And we'll see if we get, eventually we can get Cybertron Megatron, which would be kind of fun too. So we could talk more about Megatron. Let's see if anyone has some questions about that. What do we got? Cool. Yeah, I have the still have the sketchbook for sale on the website, archermonster.com. Was able to get a new batch, so not super limited as much as they have been. So check that out. And we will have the color one for TFCon Toronto, a next one, which will include a lot of what I did for March of the Robots and whatnot. So, let's see here. Hello, David. Matt, how's it going? Yeah, I am big into asymmetrical villains, and sometimes heroes, for that matter. But that's why Eric and I worked well. I could do those villains asymmetric, and he could do nice square, symmetrical guys, and it was just a a good form factor for the line at that time. The shade of green on the new Megatron, I think, represents the show better. Again, I had a tendency to shade everything, which is to mean darken a core color. So I would take that green and gray it out a little bit. So I like a little bit more pop. So I'm happy with that, the new colors actually. So, hey, Princeton Phalanx 59, how are you? Yeah, I am sure that the 3D printer market is going to make, or somewhere along the line, we're going to get the shiv knife, Dave. One of my weirder little features. That's for sure. What was your inspiration to give the original design antlers? It's iconic these days, but I'd love to know the thought process behind it. Okay, that is a good question. Kenoa, I hope I said that right. My first Transformer, if you could kind of see over my shoulder, was the red Megatron Dragon, and that I was really into. Hold, please. All right. I was really into this artist, and there are some really cool designs in here for a video game I think he was working on. All right, here we go. So I was just really digging this book at the time, and these creatures with horns were cool. And the Asian dragon with deer horns is kind of a cool look for me. I like that look. So the red dragon has those antlers. And so this in Armada is kind of a mechanical echo of my design of the antlers to make Megatron with antlers. So that's how that happened to be. So I kind of just I was always looking for different silhouettes. And so a villain with antlers was big. I think I was big into, oh man, what was the anime? Oh my goodness. That'll come to me. But, so, I just like antlers. Is it true the sci-fi tank design was a concession to German laws against realistic military toys? We always had to account for that if it was going to go into certain markets, but I don't think we changed it particularly for that. It was just how we designed overall. Were any other color schemes considered before the green and purple on Megatron? I don't think so. I think that one went pretty straightforward. Again, I was inspired by G2 Megatron being green and purple, and the silver of the old gun. So I was living within that color palette, and I don't think we looked at too many things. So nothing's jumping out. Ninjatron. Would you say you enjoy designing villains more than heroes, or do you not normally have a favorite? Oh yeah, no, the villains for me were a lot more fun. Just as any artist will tell you, if you're into it, you're going to do better work. So I'm just into the forms of villains. I like pointy things and the crazy silhouettes, which are spikes and fins and wings and things. So they take on a naturally scarier form, I guess. I'm more willing to do asymmetrical things, have weird eyes and patches and, different stuff. So villains work much better than that. It's like a trigger, right? So, of what good and bad is. So, I'm much more suited for villains. I didn't know we officially called it the Shiv, but if we're starting that tonight, I'm all for it. The Megatron Shiv. Now, originally, that is a very bad echo of the chrome sword that the G1 Japanese Megatron came with. Very, very, that's a big trade down for Megatron, no doubt. Going from whatever that awesome chrome sword was to the Shiv. Yeah, the cat comes and goes. He'll be back. He's always back. Yeah, they are kind of stag beetle horns as well. And I'll tell you, if we look at this image, if you see the black and white in the middle, you see those tabs on either side of his head. They're kind of little fangs that stick up. Those would have been the finger placements for a feature that had a scissoring action, that these horns on the top of Megatron would have gone out, and then they would have gone out and grabbed and then pulled back a Minicon. So as you had the tank, you would have had those tabs, and you would have squeezed the tabs, and it would have and grabbed it back. That became a bit of a problem, because when it went out, that like scissors open, right? And it's a finger squeeze hazard to have that kind of feature. So we kind of could never figure it out. It was just cumbersome, and we kind of abandoned it. But the horns remained. No, G1 Megatron sword did not pop out of the wrist. It was just that big chrome sword that clipped on. Justin, you guys. I think our headcanon is always better than than what was actually in any of these shows, right? I don't remember when we found out about Tidal Wave connecting to Megatron. I think they told us that was going to happen and be a feature, but we weren't going to sell it that way or promote it that way too much. So that was not a big deal for the Hasbro side. So basically Takara ran with that one, from what I remember. I asked about if Unicron trilogy movie was ever planned in the last stream, and we were going into detail, and then the stream got cut off. Oh, that's right, we did get cut off. During that time, there wasn't a Unicron trilogy movie planned, but we were talking to some studios that made anime movies. And we had meetings and pitches and some test footage and dinners and some screenings of films that were being released. But ultimately, nothing came of that, so it's all under that part of the deal through Takara. So it really didn't fit the plan. That was kind of their own independent kind of Transformer movies, so they would have been very non-connected to anything that had come before. And they were just a little bit ambitious and odd when, in fact, we had the Spielberg Bay movie moving through the system, and we didn't want to have confusing communication and things. So the fact that the deal never got done and we never really got to that place, those things just kind of faded away. So I hope that we were having a good conversation. Matter of fact, yeah, we got cut off. I think I talked for another 20 minutes answering all kinds of stuff, and I probably even showed some things. So who knows? That was a crazy one. Sorry about that. The weather's been odd. Which version of Armada Megatron do you prefer? The Power Links or regular version? I don't know. I like them all. Armada Megatron is pretty cool overall. I think they're all funky for their own reasons, but the Batmobile Megatron for Cybertron could be really interesting to be redone. I do remember those movie pitches, but I'm not really at a liberty to talk about that stuff now. I mean, it's buried, but it really belongs to the Takara part of the deal, and I'm not in a position to be the person outing that stuff, unfortunately. Yeah, yellow Batmobile on the wall. Got that the first week at Kenner back in '95. It's an animated Batmobile test shot. All right, so it's 10:30. We've talked a little bit about the Megatron, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think the Galvatron stuff was Joe Kide. I don't remember doing the Galvatron per se, or guiding it, I remember. So I went to my local resale shop for video games this week, and they have a little bucket of toys and things. Sometimes they have stuff in package, but it's always a little dented, stuff guys trying to make money real quick, It's like a pop culture pawn shop. But I found some crazy stuff. I found some real crazy stuff. So I was there. So we're going to go over what I found out, what I bought this week for a minute. So I was there with my son. He was buying a Wii U this week because he's into retro video games. And I saw this dude. And I was like, I remember him, but I didn't think much of it. And I got back home and I'm like, wait a minute, that was Silverhawks. So I found that. So I went back to get him. And then I said, well, might as well dig through this box a little bit. And there was a Lion-O, which was cool. And then a Vulture Man, or Vulture, whatever, which was cool. And then Rataro. I mean, are you kidding me? And last but not least, the Tusk Guy. So I got all these great monsters for next to nothing. So that was cool. And then today I was at the little flea market shop. Found this Starcom with 3 figures. Really cool. There's the other figure. Everything still works. Not all the parts, but really cool. Probably trade that out for some other stuff I need. But so a mid-'80s extravaganza this week. Very cool. Yeah. So I already had my Monstar, so now I got Buzzsaw for the Silverhawks, which is cool because I really like the villains of most of these old 80s lines anyway. So that's my new thing. I'm picking up old 80s junk. Starcom was very cool. My friends, the booths had the Starcom, and they had a drop ceiling, with the metal rods, and we'd stick all the men up on the connector pieces between the foam, which was pretty cool. It really kind of we had a whole spaceship going on in the basement. So those are a few of the things I picked up this week. Really cool. Probably didn't even spend $22 maybe on all of that, which is crazy. No weapons and stuff, but we're pretty cool to find that stuff still out in the wild. I don't know about that chrome process. It wouldn't surprise me, because some of the people I worked with really knew their chrome stuff, which is how I learned it, and even got to innovate a little bit on it with the 100th edition Batman. Hey Sean, Ring of Doom. Yeah, you missed most of the Megatron talk, although we're asking questions about it now. So if you have anything particular, we covered a little bit of all the parts of it. Pretty impressive, pretty nice. It is cool that 20 years ago we designed these things, and they still resonate, and we're able to improve upon them. I mean, I was fortunate in my era to theoretically improve upon some G1 designs and whatnot, and that was fun. And now that it's continuing on that way, really cool to see elements of the characters I helped create come to life even better in toy form. So that's really cool. So very cool. Nathaniel, I will be at TFCon Toronto and PowerCon in Columbus in August. TFCon is in late June, I think, July. I gotta look that up, but that's where I know I'll be. I'm pretty sure I'll be in Orlando, but we'll see. We will see. Chaotic Neutral. What is the most challenging thing about designing a toy? I'm going to give you a non-answer with that one. It all comes down to the variables. All right, so this is the cat. This is Jiro. I've already had an Ichiban. So this is Jiro. So really the most challenging part about designing a toy is what you don't have access to. So you might not have access to money. You might not have access to the feature set. You might not have access to the licensor allowing certain things to happen. You might not have the sculptor you would prefer. You might not have a bad sculptor, but one that might not interpret the way you'd like. So the hardest part about designing a toy is having everything line up in a way that at the end of the race, you still have something that is compelling, makes money for the company, but that you can feel good about. And not every toy ends up that way. A lot of them get compromised for different reasons along the way, for good different reasons. But that's what makes toys challenging, is really just running this thing through the gauntlet and just trying to maintain the cool factor or an interesting thing at the end, by the end. So I would say that's an aspect. So doing cool stuff for cost is sometimes a problem. Prices of commodities change, and all of a sudden something that you could do last year you can't do this year. Some companies have changed, some factories have changed how they are going to paint or whatnot. So that would come into play. Maybe the marketer doesn't like your colors and you have to change something. You got to navigate all that stuff. So, yeah, we have the cat. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a cat snob. I got my Siamese cats, so with their Japanese names. So, cat person declared. So yeah, PowerCon in Columbus is pretty cool. That one's like 2 hours from my house, so in a big location. Really matches all the East and West Coast shows, just in the middle of Ohio, which is great. So come see me in Ohio. Have you ever had to make up a back view for a character you weren't given reference for? Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. Whether, sometimes we'll get photos and they'll have, like, Batman will have his cape, or, maybe the back of the outfit is just the zipper or something. So we'll have to make that up to make it look better. So making up the back view for stuff happens a lot. So yeah, that's kind of how that one would go, Matt. Bob Ford, writer for Beast Wars, said that Hasbro has teams that make toys that are meant to be stolen. TMs. I don't understand, Paul, that why he would say that, or what I'm reading there. Nobody makes anything meant to be stolen, as far as I know. That doesn't make sense. Did you ever look into incorporating cloth goods like capes and cloaks into Transformers? I did a little bit. There's that kind of G2 anime manga era where Megatron and Optimus have capes. And then some of the movie, Megatron had a tarp over the back of his thing for the second movie. So we kind of would look at it from time to time, but soft goods is so expensive and it would get caught in the stuff, the gears and whatnot, that it just didn't. It's a cool look on a model and in an image, Scavenger and Armada with his cloak, but more tough to execute in product, that's for sure. Very much difficult that way. They have teams to make toys that are meant to be stolen. Nothing's meant to be stolen. That's weird. What designs are you most proud of? I don't know about designs, because you grow as a designer, so things I used to really, really be proud of, I'm less proud of now. But what I'm proud of is the contribution to the brand, somewhat humbly, but, my storyline of mini-cons and what they did for the features. I'm proud of 20th Anniversary Optimus that became Masterpiece. I'm proud of Alternators. I'm glad we got to do real licensed cars in a new cool way. That's a real upgrade from G1 in a way, right? So I'm proud of those kind of moments. Being part of the first 3 or 4 movies, first one particularly, working on that whole project, with Michael Bay and Spielberg and the art department. Just very proud of those kinds of things. And then there's, granular things like, I like Vector Prime and working on the War for Cybertron games and things like that. But that's some of the things I would say. So, because I did so many segments and things, or ran some of that business, that it's hard to pick out certain things. All right, Sean, let's see here. Could you discuss the idea and design behind the Energon Autobot combination gimmick? I'll top line it. We really liked what they had done with Gal Gaigar and some of those segments in Japan, Takara. So we wanted something as impactful as well, that like the minicons, everything comes with the minicon and makes these features go. We wanted a concept like that to communicate. So, all the Autobots combine, and it sounds really good for sales and marketing. Gets trickier in the execution. So that's a very top line version of how that came to be. We liked the combos, and we thought we could do it more expansively across a whole line. Probably should have kept it to a price point and tried different things at different price points, but because minicons was such an overriding feature communication, we really wanted to repeat that, and that's where it became a problem, I think. Did you see that they're bringing back PVC for Evolution Beachcomber? No, but I didn't entirely realize they had expunged that also. Everybody gets vinyl Star Wars capes. Yeah, that would have been fun. Yeah, the cat is loving life tonight. I'm not shushing him away. Ooh, if I could go back in time and redesign any Transformer, which one would you pick? Do they have to be ones I designed? Because it would be Skylynx. Skylynx, I tell you. So I was in charge of the brand communication with partners as they created content for the brand. So I would have been the lead creative partner with the video game company, High Moon at that point, and Activision. That from a brand level, for sure. We had also licensing agent people on the video game side that could approve stuff and all of that, but I was the connective tissue to what we were building within the brand stories and whatnot. So I definitely worked on the video games. That was a core component of our aligned continuity, to tell the origin story of why Optimus and Megatron might not see eye to eye, or what's going on that planet. We were really focused on building out more of why these characters didn't like each other or had a different philosophy, and why have they been battling for as long as they've been battling. It couldn't have just been, because you're this and I'm that. We wanted it to have more depth, and that is how that video game came to be. And they definitely wanted to not be on Earth. They wanted to have a lot more fun. I had always talked about a transforming planet, and everything the Transformers use should, envelop them and rotate around them, and kind of, when they walk through a door, it doesn't just open, it, does stuff. And they were able to get some of that stuff into the game when you went up to the consoles and it popped out of the ground and all of that. So those were big parts of what we were trying to do, but I didn't lead any of the art direction at all. No, that was all High Moon, and through the approval process. But I was into what they were doing, for sure. All right, buddy. All right, so it's 10:47. You're watching the Toy Armada live Friday night with Aaron Archer. We're in the Q&A section of this live broadcast, so we can talk anything toy-wise. Skylynx for me is the item I like to beat up on. One, because it's easy, because it wasn't designed by Takara Tomy, so I'm not offending anybody at that company that I worked with. But okay, like, first of all, okay, so it's a space shuttle. It's a great space shuttle, right? Don't know why that opens to nothing, but that's beside the point. But what I don't get, and this is the rule that would have broke me with this item back in the day, is why would you make a flying vehicle turn into a flying animal? It's like there's no benefit to the transformation. I guess that's the biggest thing. I mean, a pterodactyl to a robot? Cool. A space shuttle to a robot? Cool. A pterodactyl to a space shuttle just doesn't live up to the Takara version of Transformers, and that's why I say it's not a normal Transformer and one I can make fun of, because it's toy box, sounds like. So it's just it drives me crazy. And then he sits on a cat. What is the connection between a pterodactyl and a cat? Like, so that doesn't make story sense. If you could put logic to these things, that doesn't make much sense either for me. So this whole item is a little concocted, even though it's, well constructed, hardy labels, decent colors. It's a nice Transformer in that regard, even though it's not a Takara item. But it just does not live up to what a Transformer is to me. So, it's a thing with wings that gets wings. Come on. I did not have any connection into much of Rescue Bots. Some oversight early and kind of brand building planning. So what was your last major figure you designed before leaving the company? I would have had some influence into the 2014, is that what you call it, RID? The wolf guy and some of the different characters there, trying to bring antlers and different form factors to the robots. That would have been some of the last stuff that I would have had influence on. Last toy I designed, it's tough to remember. I don't know if I have a favorite G1 episode. I'm not as a super fan at all compared to any of the people I meet. I don't have that encyclopedic love of the old G1 stuff. I watched it as a kid and enjoyed it, but I don't have a favorite per se. I was a big fan of the movie, I guess, as a kid. I did go see that in the theater. So this is actually my friend's childhood Skylynx. He gave it to me. I don't know if I was using it for reference or what, but yeah, so this has been around my whole life. And that is why I have it, as much of an honor to my friend as, something that's weird. But I like weird things. I like weird toys. So even though it's not a great Transformer, Skylynx, to me, it's a compelling item, and it is a compelling convertible thing. I just find it to be a flawed Autobot in that regard. I could go on and on. If the trademark was available, would I have named Hotshot Bumblebee? I don't know. We kind of made fun of the name Bumblebee back in like 2000, 2001, 2002 because it was so generic and kind of like, why would a robot be called Bumblebee? And so it just didn't jump out to us until later, when we wanted to look back more nostalgically. You designed Steeljaw the Wolf. I oversaw guys creating interpretations that then went to the animation department for RID. It was kind of a distended process. That's why I don't talk about it too much. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Skylinks is a unique item. Again, I just don't think it's a great Autobot transformer. It's still a great transforming, converting robot thing. Yeah, I saw that. I took my brothers to see the 86 movie. We actually walked to the movie theater that is no longer there to see it. And I think I was doing it under the guise of I was, watching my little brothers. Yeah, Skybox. These items do have the robustness of a Tomy item of that era. The plastic quality and the way they're built. That doesn't surprise me. Tomy in the 80s, the air jammers and different things they made, the Zoids, really interesting quality, really nice. Man, I went to somewhere and I saw that the Pillbug Beast Wars reissue was clogging up a shelf, and I just had to laugh because it was like I was back in 1988 or 98, and that same item was clogging up the shelves. Like they didn't change the deco to make it any better or anything. Kids really don't like the big bugs. When we would do Beast Wars giant bugs, you think of the mosquito and sometimes the ant, the Transmetals ant, just weren't big sellers. Yeah, a Bumblebee that transforms into a Bumblebee would be straightforward, wouldn't it? I wonder if it would contribute to the nullification of the trademark if you self-identified Bumblebee as a Bumblebee. Legal could make the claim that you're showing it in a generic form. Therefore, you've nullified your name. But I can't confirm that. Yeah, Starriers. Those again, think of the plastic quality on those. Nice and robust. Kind of solid. Yeah. Inferno had his normal version, and then he had the Transmetals version, and they were both red. They were both the same price point. It was like, I remember a meeting specifically where the team got reamed for that one. It's like, we put out the same toy. What are we doing? Yeah. But that was a rough one. I remember that was a rough one. The mosquito, again, big bug, and it was purple and lavender that faded into that ugly tan lavender. Interesting item, but probably tricky colors. The gold on that, if I remember right. Yep, yep. Inferno got shipped in solid pack. They were having a real tough transition around that time with some of those price points, and I remember it got tricky. It got tricky. Oh, the Retrax reissue doesn't even have all the bug legs. That's crazy. Wonder if they did that for a costing. But I don't know why they would have picked that one to redo. Like, that wasn't a big seller back in the day. It was a bit of a peg warmer. Again, people don't like big bugs. It's a very gimmick-based transformer as well with the pill bug feature. Strange. That one's a strange one to me. And again, a little disheartening to see on the shelf after knowing that the first one didn't do great. Who knows about Inferno to Scavenger? I don't know. I don't know why they would have done that. It definitely is a weird question. It was my idea to make the G2 or the Transmetals 2 Megatron a dragon. So that was my first Transformer connection. Yeah, if they wanted to redo Retrax, I think they could have, but I think they could have had a lot more fun with the deco. A lot more fun. And really try to do something that would be impressive to make people want to buy an item that is odd otherwise. But that Dayglow yellow spray down the middle or whatever, it just not great. Huh, it's a shame. They're having a lot of issues in the factory. Yeah, Torca reissue would be cool, and I agree without the gold. That was a nice little item. That scale of those items were all pretty cool. And even if the forms of the beasts were a little odd, like the hammerhead bird, the robots were really cool that you got out of them. The snapping turtle alligator and everything, really cool robot forms. Again, we talked about that earlier, asymmetrical a little bit, and kind of fun. Yeah, there were a lot of bugs. There were a fair amount of bugs, fair amount of dinos. The mammals in Beast Wars became tricky. We'll talk about all this in a long format, but all those four-legged figures, the wolf and the pigs and the horses and it just becomes cheetahs tricky to have variety, but they found a lot of ways. Airhammer, yeah, that's right. Airhammer. What crazy names. Alright, I got this book. How far does this book go? This one we didn't really ever come out with. We had a bunch of these in the office. The Mega Boss, or whatever he was called, Tripedicus. Oh yeah, there's Transketo. Definitely looked like an alien or a xenomorph. But that gold and purple, looks like one of those predators that Kenner made. Baboom, pretty cool. Yeah, all these were cool. The Buzzclaw, Terragator, Injector, I guess. Nocturo, come on. I remember being in some of those brainstorms. What ridiculous names. Wow. I'm looking at the my Transmetals 2 here. Whew, some are better than others. Some are better than others. All right. We'll talk more Beast Wars here soon. What time we got? Oh, we're after 11. I'm going to go a little while longer here. If anybody's got any questions, I want to make sure I give a good hour. We haven't recorded the next podcast yet. We need to. I got lined up 2 Beast Wars era designers. So we're going to have some interesting conversations there with the new movie coming up. And that'll be fun. Remember to check out ArcherMonster_creative on Instagram. That's where I put up my latest art and whatnot. ArcherMonster.com. I have a shop there, and you can see what else I got going on. Connect everything there as well. We do these lives every Friday at 10. I'm assuming I'm upright and feeling well. And next week we may talk about the Optimus. We'll see what else we talk about. If Proto Man can't go live tomorrow, I might do another thing tomorrow at 8, just to keep it all spinning a little bit. In that case, I'll definitely talk about some things. He might load me up with a few news items as well. We'll see. We'll see what I can do to get a seat, you know? But I kid. So I appreciate everybody coming. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page. I appreciate that. Curious, were there other ending ideas to Transformers Armada? I don't know if they pitched other ideas or not. By the time they got to that point, we were kind of transitioning, so I don't remember how that all went down. Yeah, everybody's talking about Beachcomber's rubber tires, and they're not actually rubber, but that's a different conversation for a different time. In the parlance of our community, it is rubber. But I know they've tried to get away from PVC overall, so I don't know if it's something they because they can make those more hollow wheels and things now if they go a different route. So I don't know if it's something that's going to come back or not. It's nice when you can get nice grip to roll them. What was the thought process behind Armada Red Alert personality-wise? The medic and a RoboCop image. Yeah, I just took the RoboCop idea and look a little bit, but he was always the medic. I just really like the kind of the look of the head. Yeah. How was the Armada subtitle chosen? What do you mean subtitle? For the cartoon or the Unicron battles, or how did we get to Armada, Transformers Armada? If you're asking that, I came up with that word, which was really a way to describe the multitude of little Transformers that the series was about tracking down and finding. So the Minicons are the Armada, when you think of it that way. And I just like the word. I'm fond of A's. It's a good, clean, one-word thing that says something globally. So it was a good title for translation or not needing translation. So that is why we kind of went with that. And those single word names are great. Cybertron, Energon. They get more complex if you have to translate them, and they don't always translate the same way in the same space in other languages and things. So and you ideally want your logo to stay the same globally. So that is how we came up with Armada. Yep, exactly, Matt. Yeah, they essentially operate globally without a lot of translation or confusion. Because if they, like, a word like energon doesn't mean anything in any language, ideally, so it can just be its own word, right? Energon. It could be that in France, it could be that in South Africa, it could be that in Brazil, So that is the ideal situation, Matt, that we could pull that off. All right, so I thank everybody for coming. Looks like we had a decent amount of viewers tonight, and we'll see what we talk about next week. If you got suggestions, send them my way. I continue to do art, so if you're looking for any of that, please hit me up. And again, the second sketchbook will be ready certainly by June, July for the cons. So we'll look for that as well if you're interested in such things. All right, good seeing everybody. Justin, Ninjatron, Matt, David, T-Formers 59, got everybody. Robot Assassin, T-Formers 2002, Tyrone, man, we got everybody. Nathaniel, good questions tonight. Managed to not get cut off, so that's great. And again, really just want to leave with, really cool that these guys went back and made, such a nice honorific version of the character that I designed all those years ago. So, gets the double A from me for sure on that. Made an old toy designer happy with what they